Alright, so you bought yourself a pit bike and the clutch is sticking. I'm going to show you here my son's 2020 RFZ 125 made by Apollo. After a couple of trips out on the trails, his clutch started sticking where you pull it in and then when you let go it only goes out halfway and then you push it the rest with your hand. So I'm going to show you here. First thing, always check the cable. Obviously this wasn't my cable. I found a couple of videos online that weren't very clear. I read a bunch of forums. So if you take this plate off the side where the clutch lever is located, the fingers actually that push in and pull out when you pull the clutch and let go of it. So you'll see here, got to get this side cover off. These bolts were really tight. So grab myself some channel locks. Get them to the right size. Make sure it fits on there. You don't want to strip these bolts. Last thing you want to do is have to screw them out. So I'm just going to set it to hold the screwdriver. And I'm just going to use it just to, boom, crack them free. Oh, get the bit. And I'm going to use it again. Just crack it free. There you go. Cracked them both free. Take this side cover off here. Never done this before. It's my first time, so figure I'll let you learn from my mistakes. Everything's been pretty good. We've been out twice since I've done this, and this clutch isn't sticking anymore. Alright, so you see the side cover comes off there. Now you can see here, you see when I let it go? See how it catches, and then it goes? So it's really troublesome when he's trying to let out on the clutch and first, and then it just pops that last little bit, and then it's like kind of like you dumped the clutch. But you see here, there's actually a pin right there. And if you pull that pin out, which I'm going to grab a pair of needle nose to do it with, and you take some lubricant and you spray it in there, you can actually see the dirt and grime and stuff that accumulates in there, and that's what makes it stick so it doesn't spring back. So, gonna head in here. I think I'm looking for some needle nose. Tools everywhere. I was actually working on my DR. I was trying to install hand guards. What a nightmare. So I actually grabbed a flathead screwdriver, and I don't know why I was picking at that thing like that. The pin's out a little bit, and it almost feels like you can just knock it right off. See the pin there? I'm sorry, that was goop around the pin. They silicone the pin in, but you're going to see later when I put the plate back on, there's actually a bump in the plate that when you tighten it back down, it sits right over this pin that holds that lever assembly together. So here I'm just trying to get all the silicone away before I pop this pin out because I don't want no junk or more debris to get inside of there. So I don't know if I got it with these pliers. I guess we're going to find out together. Yeah, I didn't think I did. I thought I had to go grab a pair of needle nose. So we'll head into the old toolbox here. It's always better to have more tools than what you need. Horrible camera angle. But I'm actually wearing the head mount for the GoPro. Alright, I couldn't get it with those, so I'm going to use the vice grips. Oh, that's a perfect angle, yeah. So I get it on the end of the pin here. Okay, and then just wiggle it out. There you go. Now you can see that little pin. It's not much. It's just a pin with a little head on it that sits in there, and it kind of holds the assembly together. So now that that pin's out, I'm going to take some WD-40 here with a little tube, spray a little to the grass for the homies, and I'll get it in there, give it a couple of squirts, give it a little squirt on the lever there, hit the cable adjuster. Make sure you get it on everything that's going to get hot. It's really flammable, so. Alright, you can see here that I'm flexing it now with the clutch lever, making sure it's nice and free. And it's amazing, that's all it was. Just spray a little lubricant in there. I'm going to spray some more just for good measure, make sure I got any little pieces of debris or dirt or anything out of there that was in there. And coincidentally, I now keep the vice grips, the WD, and a screwdriver in the car when we go riding, because if it ever starts sticking again, it's a pretty simple, easy fix. So you see I got the pin there. Just going to set it back in place. And then, of course, you can't use a hammer. Just, whatever tool you got handy just to beat the clip or the pin back in there. So I'm just tapping it flush. Get it started. There you go. Use the tip of the Phillips head with a pair of vice grips. There we go. But that's all it is. If your clutch is ever sticking, normally it's just that assembly right there. You pull that little pin and just spray some lubricant. Like I probably could have sprayed some white lithium in there. I like WD because it's not, it's more watery. There's probably a big word for that, but I'm not that smart. So there we go. Everything feels good. Now you see on the cover, you see that bump out right there. That actually right there is what sits against that pin so it doesn't come out. So we'll just tighten this back on. Always hand tighten everything first. Make sure you hand start it. And then tighten everything down. Alright, going to grab the channel locks here. Going to make sure I put a little crank on them so they're nice and tight. I'm going to worry about them vibrating out. There was no Loctite on them. I don't see any reason to put any Loctite on those. I mean, I'm sure it's going to get dirty again. I'm going to have to pull that off and fix it. So there we go. Just give them a little crank. Everything's good. Gather up some tools. Get them out of the way. There you go. Nice and smooth. No more catching. No more binding. Wow. I'm actually going to put some tools back where they belong. Alright, that's new. Normally I have tools everywhere. What's even worse is my son and all of his friends come over to work on their bicycles and they just go through my toolbox, and I have a really nice Allen key set and they're all thrown everywhere. I can't find the sizes I need. But whatever, it's all the joys of having kids. So here we are. I'm just testing it all, making sure everything's good. About to do a little adjustment in here now that everything's free. You always want a little bit of play on the end. Now these are adjustable levers too. I think I have it set to max. Just adjust the cable, make sure everything's good. And that's it. If your clutch is ever sticking, pull that cover off, pull that little pin out, spray some lubricant in there, make sure you work it. It could be your cable that's binding too, but I know it wasn't. I mean, this bike is a couple of months old. Alright, so that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Happy biking.